what goes on in operations then? What is your EOC like?
Okay, it's much better than what it used to be, and it's not what we want it to be. We're kind of in that middle ground right now. We have well, let me back up. I'll describe the progression of the EOC, and then I'll go back and tell you a little bit about the chain that we go through when things happen. When Hurricane Katrina hit, our EOC was one guy sitting in the front seat of a pickup truck with a satellite phone with his head cocked just the right way so he wouldn't lose the signal. And that was it. He had a notepad in his lap and a satellite phone and his head twisted. And I can remember sitting in the back seat of the truck watching him going, there has got to be a better way of doing this. And so we've gone from there to now we have a room that's probably maybe a third of the size of this room, maybe from this point over. Not quite that long, but maybe like this much square. And we've got a projector screen on one wall. We've got several large computer monitors, a satellite television network playing. And we can kind of watch the news. We can watch, like after Japan, we had, this was actually, this was after the earthquake, but before the tsunami hit. We were in the COHOC, we call it, Convoy of Hope Operations Center. And it sounds like a disease, doesn't it? And we were sitting there. We had up on the big screen, on the projection screen, we had the early warning tsunami buoy system, and we had it displayed there, so we could watch the individual buoys worldwide and tell which. I mean, you could literally see where the tsunami was headed, and we were able to watch that. We were on another screen. We were able to watch all the aftershocks that were taking place in Japan and in that region. We had on another screen for domestic disasters. We use this a lot. We have a screen, and we have up on it all the different FEMA products that are available. So, you know, there's a truckload of ice, there's a truckload of water, there's a truckload of this, that kind of thing. And then sometimes we can secure some of that product from FEMA and intermix it with what we have. So that's kind of what that room is like. We've got better communications in there now as far as internet and phones, and we're constantly improving and tweaking on our not so much our chain of command, but really our operational chain, how we do things. We try to, on the public relations side of it and the media side of it, we try, when we're going to do a press release, we'll write it, and then we'll try to run it through the channels in the DR, the Disaster Response Department, to make sure that everybody's comfortable with what we're saying. Sometimes in the heat of trying to get stuff out in time to get it to the stations or the newspaper outlets, we'll skip that step, like maybe yesterday. And maybe somebody will get a little upset when you do that. But we do a fairly good job. We've got it now to where there's just this big conference room table, and everybody sits around it. And my office is normally upstairs in one of the regular office areas, but during a disaster, especially in the early days, I'll office down there, just grab a seat at the table, and we kind of have this big powwow going the whole time. So it's very chaotic, but it's really the best way we've found for conveying information. Because if I hear something from you, and then I'm going to go over here and share it. Remember the game? Did you ever play the game at camp where you whisper in somebody's ear about the story? That does it. Adults do the same thing. You know, we hear the story through our filter and then we pass it on. So we've really tried to eliminate some of those communication issues. But we'll activate that room right as soon as we hear something on a disaster. And in fact, the room was activated after Japan. The room was already activated when I got a call from Paul. I just hadn't known it yet. And probably about 5 minutes later, I got my alert on my cell phone that we had activated.
During a crisis, then, do you pull in other staffers to man your phones because you're busy writing communication?
Yes and no. What we'll do sometimes, it kind of depends on the severity of the disaster and how much media attention there is. I'll tell you something that is shocking to me. I don't know if any of you have noticed it, but when the Japan earthquake hit, I'm probably not answering your question, so make me come back to it if I don't. When the Japan earthquake hit, media attention was like, whoa. You know, you're seeing all these videos from YouTube and anybody with a cell phone now is a videographer. And the national news, they're all carrying it. And then we move along and everybody kind of moves away from that story, and the tornadoes hit Alabama. Every bit as destructive as Joplin, maybe more. I mean, more deaths, more widespread, so there's more damage even than there was in Joplin. But media attention was about this much. You know why? The royal wedding. Everybody dropped the coverage like that when it was time to talk about the royal wedding. And it went away. So it depends, I'll bring it back now, it depends on what the media coverage is like. Like, we were all geared up for Alabama, and it just went flat.
So for Joplin,
Joplin, it's crazy again. So we're getting all sorts of hits on our press releases, all sorts of calls. I mean, the phone ran off the hook yesterday. We've got a policy at Convoy, and I like it some days and don't like it some days. But our policy is I'm the only one that talks to the media, just because it's too easy to get confusing messages out there. And I think they figure I'm smart enough that I can remember one thing, and so we decide what I should say, and then I just keep repeating that over and over again. It's like, put the robot